Janelle King is our guest, and of course, you can hear her show, The Janelle King Show, here on the weekends on Xtra 106.3. Janelle, it has been a crazy week or two for y'all on the Georgia elections board. When I saw the post that Brian Kemp was seeing if he had the authority to remove anybody from the election board, I didn't know what to make of that. Can you help me understand that? Is that him just saying, hey, I'm dotting the I's, crossing the T's? I have no interest in removing people, but I just want to be able to say I don't have this authority, or is there something more to it?
That's what I'm choosing to believe. I'm choosing to believe that, as the governor, you have to take everything seriously and that he is going through his normal process. But I'm okay with that because I'm confident that the research that they're going to do in order to find out if these complaints and these lawsuits carry any weight, I'm confident that they're going to find that that's not the case. So I'm okay with it. He can research whatever he needs to in order to feel confident about his decision, because that's what we are doing on the board, is making decisions so that election officials can feel confident about their decisions.
Yeah, because right now, I'll tell you, and I've said this to you before, I've said it on the show a whole bunch of times, I don't feel real good about where my vote goes or what happens to my vote after I, click the boxes that I click. After 2020, and say what you want to about it, and people have differing opinions, and I'm okay with that too. Something went on, something didn't add up, and I would like to know why. I would like to know what. And I believe in my heart of hearts, that's what you and those other members of the board are doing. Figuring out, okay, what happened, and then how do we make sure it does not happen again? How do we secure Georgians' elections?
Absolutely. That's 100%. I want to be very, very clear when I say that we are not debating the outcome of any election. We are looking at the process. From my perspective, there's nothing that we have discussed that has anything to do with the outcome of what happened in 2020. We all know who the president is and who the president that was in the White House. Now, mind you, this was prior to the big switch, so now, Harris is there. But either way, we all know what happened. No one's going backwards and trying to relitigate that. What we are looking at is what went wrong. We have an attorney from the Secretary of State's office telling us that there were mistakes, that there were issues, so much so that he wants to be a part of a monitoring team to monitor Fulton County to ensure that these issues don't happen again. So we're past the argument that nothing happened, right? So now we're at the point where we're asking the questions, well, what did happen? And at this point, what's concerning to me is that it feels like the cover-up is worse than the crime. It feels like, when we said, okay, we found that there were 3,000 ballots counted twice in Fulton County or 17,000 ballot images, the question we asked was what happened, not what's on those ballots, what happened during that process. And as a result, we're getting lawsuit after lawsuit, hold-up after hold-up, ethics complaint after ethics complaint. And you have to ask yourself, well, what did happen? Now I really need to know, because the response is so great. But this is about ensuring that we fix the problem, we plug the holes, we fix the chain that has been broken, and we're going to continue to do that.
Janelle King is our guest on the Morning Extra, and you talk about those ethics complaints and those problems that are going on that are, kind of curtailing the work of what you want to do. I think we're looking at a bigger problem nationwide, Janelle. I saw the Michigan Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, basically threatening locals that if you happen to not want to certify an election, we're going to come after you. I think that's got to be very concerning when you have people like yourself trying to do the right thing. And in some states, you're going to have officials saying, I don't want you doing that. I want you doing what I tell you to do.
Correct. What's interesting is that the affidavit that our election officials signed stating that their numbers are perfect and accurate, and stating that their count is perfect, that document, if they sign that document and they are not telling the truth, it is punishable by they can receive a felony. So we are asking people to sign a legal document that puts them in the crosshairs of a potential felony if they're inaccurate, and to sign it without being able to do any form of investigating, any form of research. They have to literally trust that this email that says, here's the numbers, is accurate. That is not right. What we are doing, we're taking an approach where we're addressing the concerns of not just Republicans, but of all Georgians and all voters and all candidates. We're taking the approach from the bottom up. We are looking at precinct. We're starting at the precinct level. What can we do on the precinct level to ensure that the ballot count is accurate, so that when it goes to the county level and then goes to the state level, we're not finding ourselves in a position where we're at the state level seeing that the total number statewide is wrong, and now we have to go through and comb through 159 counties, several precincts, in order to find out where the problem was. We don't have to do that. Now we have rules in place that addresses the problem from the bottom up, so that by the time it gets to the Secretary of State's office, we know exactly where it could potentially have went wrong. We know exactly who said that they saw some things where they already was a little, had some challenges, and we know where things went perfectly fine. This is creating an organized structure in our elections that people can count on and they can put their faith in.
MAGA extremist Janelle King joining us here on the Morning Extra.
New name.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
Janelle, we talked earlier about how Jack Smith has reopened up his case and superseding indictments. And part of these indictments, they have all the co-conspirators there. What the big threat is, questioning elections in general. It almost seems like these go hand in hand with what's going on here in Georgia. And they're kind of playing the game that, well, these people are doing exactly what we don't want. They're not going to certify the election, which is a lie. And that's the fear that they're trying to put in. This is also coming after you guys, part of their election interference scheme.
Yeah, I think we forget that these election boards are they're nonpartisan, right? These election boards have people on it, just like our board, that are Democrat as well as Republican. And as a board, you are certifying as a board. It's not an individual. So putting pressure on individuals is a problem. The board has to certify. And in some cases, there are superintendents, but those are very small counties that we rarely see any issues with anyway. So I think it's important to note that the emotionalism around all of this is where the story lies. That's what I keep telling journalists. I'm like, why do you keep questioning me? Why are you asking us for 45 open records requests, asking us the same thing over and over again? Send me your emails from President Trump. I keep saying I don't have any. But however, I keep getting open record requests for them. Why are you doing that? And we're doing the same thing. Why does every story sound exactly the same? Why is every journalist saying the same thing? Who is actually doing the work? Ask the correct questions. Ask yourself, why are you so emotional about this? Why is it that we are debating whether or not the number of ballots match the number of voters? This is insanity. This is basic arithmetic. So, I don't understand it. I don't know about that case with Jack Smith. I just heard about it myself. However, I don't know if it's all tied in, but, the way they're attacking elections, this is why people are losing faith in the election process.
Janelle King joining us on the Morning Extra. Tug, Rhino, and Los. You can listen to the Janelle King Show on Saturday from 3 until 4 p.m. or Sunday, an encore presentation from 9 until 10 a.m. Do you have a couple more minutes to hang out with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good, man. You mentioned that all the questions from reporters are identical, all the same things being said and written about. This seems so in line with the way everything in media works. 96% of the media is, of a left mindset, leftists, if you will. So it's no surprise, or is it? I guess I should ask that. Is it a surprise when you see the same people asking the same questions of you on the elections board?
It's not a surprise to me because I'm in media and I understand that there are those who seek to share information and there are those who seek to drive narratives. And I feel like that's what's happening. As of right now, I absolutely think that we are facing a situation where the narrative is political. If you look at the basics of the petitions, the rules that are read, I did an interview recently, and the woman I was interviewing with stated that, we're not talking about petitions, we're talking about rules. Well, that clearly tells me that you don't understand our process, that you're questioning me on something that you haven't read, because the rules come to us as petitions. So I think it's important to know that we're in a situation where we have a heightened presidential environment, and at the same time, we have individuals who think that they're supposed to, and I'm talking about this Democrat organization, these not just Democrats. I shouldn't say that. I'll just say these organizations that feel like they have more power over the people than the people, and it's not right. Every election is paid for by the people. Every salary is paid for by the people. Every piece of paper, every ballot is paid for by the people. Every rent that is paid for these locations are paid for by the people. And the people has a right to know what is going on, and they have a right to have access to the election information that is supposed to be readily available to us as voters. When it comes to our county officials, our county boards, they have the right to know what they are signing. And it's not right to tell them that you need to do what we tell you to do and you go and sign this document. And it's not right to tell precincts that they don't have the right to ensure that their ballot count is perfect and is accurate. This is insanity. So, yeah, right, what I'm seeing is a driving of narrative, and that has to stop. But it's up to us as the voters. It's up to us to ask ourselves, are we going to get swept up in the narrative? Are we going to start attacking people simply because a headline told us to? Or are we going to do our own research, ask the right questions, read the petitions? They're readily available online. And are we going to make sure that we're informed about the way we're approaching this actual situation?
Janelle King joining us here on the Morning Extra. Janelle, we saw what Greg Abbott did, clearing up some of the voter rolls, found out over 6,500 illegal citizens had registered to vote. We know that we're looking through it as well. And we've been told that illegal citizens, they already can't vote, or non-citizens. And you guys come up with a great idea by just saying, hey, let's just throw out a reminder out there. Kind of like, hey, don't bring a gun to school. We're going to put a sign up that says non-citizens aren't allowed to vote, just as a reminder. The left sits there and goes, well, that doesn't happen anyway. There are already rules in place and blah, blah, blah. Why so defensive over a little sign?
Right. I know. I honestly, I remember sitting in my seat at the board meeting, and when I realized that I was having to defend placing a sign on our election site that state that only U.S. citizens can vote, I realized that we are in a dark place as a country, and that's where we are right now. That should never be debated. This is not just a way of trying to prohibit the wrongdoing. This is also a way of educating those who are coming to our country, because our country is very open to immigration. We are the melting pot. We are the most diverse country on this planet, and we are open to it. So it's a way of also educating those who are here legally that there is a process and that there are rules in place. So to me, to debate, and I had a board member try to explain to me that this is going to somehow impact minorities, as if she forgot that I was a minority. I understand what it feels like to be a minority in this country. I live it every single day. That being said, I don't take offense to laws. I don't take offense to doing the right thing. And if we have people here who get offended when we tell them what our laws are, then they don't have the right to be here. And I think we have to set that standard as voters. We cannot allow people to tell us how to dictate our country, specifically if you're coming here and you're not from our country.
I'm just going to take a second to let that be dipped in amber, because we should basically say the last 30 seconds of what Janelle King just told you is the straight truth. It's exactly how it should be. Janelle King is our guest right here on the Morning Extra. You talk about being informed, and I'm right there with you because I believe it's a personal responsibility. And Janelle, I think one of the crazy things that goes on is that if we just get rid of the rhetoric, I can sit with somebody who is a completely different person from me in terms of politics, and we would both agree we just want to make sure that our votes are counted correctly, and that if you are a citizen of this country, then that's part of the reward is that you do get to vote. I don't think that feels like something that's completely crazy or makes me a wackadoo.
No, not at all. And I think it's important to note in 2018, Sarah Amico Riggs, who ran against Jeff Duncan, she complained about the election, followed by the Stacey Abrams complaining about our election process, followed by President Trump complaining about our election process. We like to stop at 2020, but this didn't start in 2020. And then we go to 2022, and we had, some issues there as well. So we're looking at repeated patterns of problematic behavior. And you're telling me to just act like we don't see it. That's not what we're supposed to do. When I joined this board, I made it very clear that I was going to take it seriously, that I was going to do the right thing, that I was going to approach it with clear eyes, that I was going to approach it with making sure that I read every single petition, that I read the opposing perspective, which I have done all of those things, and I will continue to do those things. I am not fighting for Republicans. I am fighting for Georgians. And I am happy to do it. I will take whatever blows and arrows that come at me all day long if it means that we are going to stand in the gap for those who cannot fight for themselves because you have this big conglomerate of an organization that's telling you what to do rather than doing their job and ensuring that our elections are ran appropriately. It should not be citizens taking 3 and 4 years of their personal time, their personal money, their personal expenses to find out what went wrong with our elections when we're paying an organization, paying an agency to do that very thing. That is wrong. It's a disservice to voters, and I will not stand for it. I am fighting for future elections. I'm fighting for future candidates, and I think that we need to continue to stand in the gap and remain strong.
You are a pitbull for Trump, and that's it. Do you think that Governor Kemp will do anything with the letter that was sent? Do you think that he'll actually talk to you guys like everybody's asking, or do you think that he's just going to look at it as this is just a game being played by Democrats?
I don't know. I can't speak for him, and I don't know what he will do. But I'm hopeful, and I'm confident that he's going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And that right thing is that he goes through his due diligence as the governor, taking everything seriously, and then he comes back with the correct response, which is they did nothing wrong and they need to continue to proceed. All of this, though, it's not about really getting us in trouble. This is not about trying to bankrupt us or do anything like that. This is about trying to hold up these rules so that they're not in place in time for it to affect this election. That's what they're doing. And I need all voters to understand that you have people that you elected, people who are supposed to represent you, who are representing themselves and their own personal interests instead of looking at whether or not their decisions will impact you. And it will. If we do not pass some of these rules, we're going to find ourselves in a position where we could potentially have some challenges. And that's not the case. That should not be the case. So I'm going to continue to keep fighting for it and keep pushing forward.
The three of us are blown away by your passion, the fact that you love your country and you love the state that you live in and you care, and it comes through. It's so clear. It's so obvious to anyone who's paying attention and anyone that is listening with a fair mind. Janelle, thank you so much for the work you're doing. Yeah. Thank you for being a part of Xtra. Thank you for coming on to the morning show and talking to voters and listeners, because there are people that don't agree with our point of view that listen to this show, and I hope you've spoken to them directly too. So thank you for everything you do. God bless you.
Yeah, and we still think you're crazy for going and doing this because you actually care.
That's right. You're awesome, Janelle. Keep fighting.
Thank you so much. Could I add one more thing? I just want to add one more thing.
Yeah.
If I have the time. When I sit in that seat, from my vantage point, I look out into the audience and I see the disappointment on people's faces. I see people walking through the Capitol praying because they're just hoping to God that someone would hear them. And I see it. And it doesn't mean that everyone is doing it for the right reasons or that everyone is correct. But I cannot, in good faith, sit in my seat in the position that I hold and see the disappointment in people's faces and knowing that they are the ones that's paying for all of this. I can't sit there and not do the right thing. So I thank y'all for getting the word out, for your encouragement and your support. But I do this with an open heart, and I'm happy to do it.
Unbelievable. Thank you, Janelle. We wish you nothing but the best. For Rhino.